So when you see him like cry, not the wayo one, no, there are some wayo men too. When they want something, they will not bring fake cry. No, it's not that fake cry one. And his ability to open up, to even tell you some of the things he had done, he's ashamed of, because he knows that you accept him in his totality without shaming him. Is she open to tell you about herself?
How possible are the right words? That's a quote from the good book. You see, the importance of communication cannot be overemphasized. This is Think Tank TV. My name is Moses Warribo. I'm right with Sister Mercy Chepaka. We're going to be discussing communications in relationship. Before I bring her on set, if you're new to this station, ensure you do well to subscribe to our station, give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing, and also do a comment to us telling us how you feel about what we're doing and how we can serve you. Let's bring Mercy on set to discuss and to do justice to the topic, communications in relationship. Thank you so much for coming, Sister Mercy Chepaka. So it's good to have you. The last time, the penultimate program we had, we discussed about singleness, right? Being completely single before you advance into a relationship to know yourself very well. In our last episode, we talked about red flags in relationship. Exactly. Sister Mercy Chepaka did justice to that. What are the red flags she'll be checking out for? I think we'll drop the link on this description so that they can go back and follow through. But today we're talking about communications in relationships. So Mercy is going to do justice to that. What should you communicate when you've decided to go into a relationship? How should you communicate? What are the things you should be asking in your new relationship? Thank you so much, Mercy. So can we have a background of what communication is? Why should people communicate in a relationship, and how important is it in a relationship?
Okay, thank you very much. Communication in relationship. Communication simply means an engagement that takes place between two or more persons, where you share your thoughts, your ideas, your needs, your wants, etc. The essence of communication in any relationship cannot be overemphasized, because without communication, a relationship has a tendency to die. Communication is the life wire in any relationship. Communication is the oxygen that fuels any relationship. Communication is the bridge that brings two partners together. Without communication, a relationship is as good as dead, because you cannot be in a relationship with someone that is numb, that you cannot talk with. So communication is a vital component of any relationship.
Wow. So we talked about red flag. Let's assume a person has checked out the relationship and there are no red flags. You want to hit the accelerator button to go to the next phase of the relationship. And we're talking about communication. So what are people supposed to be communicating about? I've seen situations where people go out on date nights and they go ahead to, all they do is ask of shawarma, ask of fish, ask of drink, laugh and go back without asking vital questions. So can our viewers know what are the questions a person should be asking? What line of communication should they be discussing as at the time when they decided to go into a relationship?
Okay, you've decided to go into a relationship. Let's say you have passed the single, you've been able to learn everything you want to know about being single, just like the first episode we did. You've also known how to identify red flags in relationships, and you've seen this person you feel you like, you want to go into a relationship with. Relationship is not the time when you go and start talking about, like you said, shawarma, hairs, how fine the person is, or what have you. It's a time where you do an intentional data collection of this person. Where you
data
collection. You're not in your data collecting, you're like dating. It's a time to collect data. Information. In your data collection, you're not going to collect data about fish, shawarma, bone straight hair, whatever, sex. No. You want to ask important foundational questions. Questions that will define and determine the longevity or even the existence of that particular relationship. So you want to ask questions like, for instance, what are your purpose? What's your purpose in life? A man's purpose, a woman's purpose in life, the definition of that gives you an idea of the mindset of this person. You want to know whether your purpose and this person's purpose aligns for you to have a good relationship or marriage. You want to find out what are the person's long-term goals or short-term goals. From the person's definition of long-term goals or short-term goals, you will know if this person is working towards achieving that. Because we have a lot of persons that are simply existing, but they are not living. You want to ask to find out what's the person's direction and vision in life.
Exactly.
A man or woman that has no vision, that has no direction, where are they taking you to? A woman that has no vision, she has no direction, where is she taking you to? So when you bring your dream on the table, they have no vision into accelerating that dream into fruition.
Wow.
So you want to marry someone that has a vision. Now, from the person's explanation or telling you of their vision, you tend to understand their mission, their assignment, and then you know where you're coming, whether it's something that aligns. You want to find out, in fact, in asking these foundational questions, we can divide them into three. First of all, personal questions. You want to also find out their likes, their dislikes, their values. What do they value in life? You want to find out who mentors them. Very important.
Who do you listen to?
Who do they listen to? Very important. This one is now asking personal questions. Because the person a man listens to, or the person a woman listens to, determines the atmosphere and the things that occurs in that particular relationship.
No.
If the person this person listens to, for instance, is a 419er, is an Igbo smoker, is a drunk, whatever, you find out that the person starts to carry out such characteristics, they become displayed in the relationship. If the woman's best friend is a fighter, a prostitute, somebody, you find out that she starts to exhibit such behavioral attributes or traits also in the relationship. So who do they listen to when they have problems? Who do they run to? Very important, because when you have problems in a marriage, it is that person they will go to. And the character of that person will be seen, displayed. So you're running a marriage, but somebody has a bigger influence in that relationship.
Wow.
Very important. You want to find out.
And at that point too, I think when you have an issue with your partner, at that point, if you're able to find out who they really listen to,
yeah,
you should be able to know who to run to that can talk them to listen.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, I heard of Creflo Dollar talking about questions in marriage. He actually said a person should go ahead to ask at least up to 1,000 questions. He even made an instance where everybody was laughing. He said, go ahead to ask the lady or the guy. We were using a lady as a reference. Okay. He said, ask the lady, this hair you're putting on, is it your own?
Good.
This hair you're putting on, have you paid for it completely? Funny question that.
Yes.
But you have some people who, at some point, when you begin to ask them questions, they're like, oh, don't ask me too much questions. Why are you disturbing? Why are you disturbing? What do you say to such people?
Okay. See, a relationship should be a ground for transparency and openness. Be very careful of a partner that is not open and transparent with you. Sometimes you see people not asking questions because they feel, if I ask him this question, he's going to be angry with me. If I ask her this question, she's going to shout at me. I don't want to ask such questions so that I will not lose my partner. And then I don't want to ask such questions so my partner will not go ghost on me. Will not go ghost on me. So let me not ask those questions. So, and then something makes them to respond in that kind of manner. Maybe because of the behavioral attitude of their partner when they tried asking a question. So they shut them down. But then, anybody that doesn't give you the ground to ask reasonable, intelligent, foundational questions has something to hide.
Wow.
The tendency for secrecy is in that relationship. Why are they not answering those questions? What's in their skeleton? Why are they putting fear in you so you cannot ask questions? Why do they want to leave you when you ask questions? Why do they pretend to be angry, to put fear inside of you when you ask them some certain questions? It means there is something they are trying to hide.
Wow.
And you do not want to marry someone you're not free to communicate with. You want to marry your friend, someone that can laugh with you, joke with you. Like you said, Ask 1,000 and more questions, because through questioning, what happens? You find out. Through communication, you know your partner. Through communication, you make you build a relationship.
Wow.
So communication is very important in any relationship. Do not marry someone you cannot communicate with. Don't.
So I think I should add to these questions a little, because even in questions, there are degrees to which you can ask questions at some point, right?
Okay.
Because some people you can meet a person and you're like asking, if you go begin to ask him some so detailed questions at first instance, the person may even pick up offense. I think perhaps that could be a reason why some other people will be like, why are you asking me such questions? So I like our viewers to also note that questions that will be asked should start from preliminary questions, right?
You're not a detective now. You not be the person
just go and say, are you into debt?
Yes.
You ask from what are your likes, what are your dislikes. Then at some point, when the relationship begins to get to a state where you have a purpose that we're going into this, you now begin to transform to asking detailed questions.
Exactly.
Right. So I think I wanted to make that point to them. So my next question to you is talking about compatibility traits. They want to ask questions. Let's talk about the areas where they think they should lay emphasis on. What are the compatibility traits that our viewers should be able to see in a relationship to know that this person could be a perfect match for me?
Okay, one of the compatibility traits everyone should look out for when vetting a potential partner for marriage should be, number one, check for purpose compatibility.
Wow.
What's compatibility? Your level of agreeableness, the level of same pagedness. Are we in same page? Do we agree? So you want to check purpose compatibility.
How often do we misunderstand ourselves? Yeah.
Yes. How often do we misunderstand ourselves? Do we speak same purpose language? Are we going same direction? You want to find out. You want to also check love compatibility. Do you really love this person? Why are you in that relationship with the person? Did somebody push you into marrying the person? Are your parents using you to pay debts to the man? Yes. Are they using you to pay their debts? Please, come and marry our daughter. No, we cannot pay for that land. We have our daughter to give to you. So marry our daughter as a payment of the land.
Wow.
No. Do they understand your love language? Maybe we'll talk about that some other time. Do they speak your love language? Do they understand your love language? Are you attracted to this person? Other love compatibility, this is what you want to check. Are you marrying this person because of money? Are you marrying the man because of money? Are you marrying the woman because of her breast, her boobs, her shape, her curves? You know you don't really love her. Are you marrying her because her father has a contract or a big company?
Or is a politician?
Or is a politician? Yes, he has a political office. So let me get married to her because of what I want to gain. No. So you also check the love compatibility test. The first one, the purpose compatibility test, the love compatibility test. Then you check for communication compatibility.
Wow.
How do we communicate? Are we free with each other? Are we open with each other? Is this person vulnerable with me? A man does not truly love you if you have not passed his vulnerability test. One of the tests of a man's love for a woman is his ability to become unapologetically vulnerable, authentically himself in the presence of the woman he says he loves.
Wow.
So if that man is not telling you, he's not opening up to you, he's not vulnerable, have you seen him cry? You know men cry. Yes.
We don't have to go down that level. We cry, but it's hard though.
No, it's hard. But you know what? To get a man to that level where he can open up. He had a problem in the workplace. Somebody, and then he comes to you, his woman. He lies on your leg, on your laps, and then he's talking to you and he cries. That's vulnerability, because men hardly cry, but they do. So when you see him like cry, not the wayo one, no, there are some wayo men too. When they want something, they will not bring fake cry. No, it's not that fake cry one. As his ability to open up, to tell you some of the things he had done, he's ashamed of, because he knows that you accept him in his totality without shaming him. Is she open to tell you about herself? So if they can be vulnerable to you, it depicts intimacy. When we talk about intimacy, it's not about sex. Intimacy goes beyond sex. So the intimacy test, the vulnerability test, check. So these are some of the traits you want to check in relationship before it's okay. Then you want to also check the religious compatibility. Do you people really allow you go to church?
What church are we going to go to if we get married? Yeah.
Exactly.
How many children are we going to
How many children? What church?
What kind of house are we going to live for the first 4 years, 3 years, and all that?
A lot of them.
Wow. So the questions are endless as it is.
Endless.
So another thing I'd like to add to what you said is talking about this area of questioning, right? And also asking the person to be vulnerable. I think it's also good for people to get to know the person to an extent before you become vulnerable. Because I think some people out there could go ahead to become vulnerable to a person who perhaps maybe a scammer. Yes. So it's good to get to know a person to an extent before you can open up.
No, wisdom even tells you that.
Yeah.
Wisdom tells you don't just meet someone and you can start telling them everything. Yeah. No. Yes. Like you said, it's a process.
Yes.
It's a process. The communication will build to that level where we are looking at before you say I do, before you get married, get to the point where you want to get married to this person. Yeah. You must have been able to pass through the diverse stages of communication. And when you're talking about communication, it's not just about questioning. You're not a detective that you just question. You talk. You talk.
You're
so
sensitive.
You observe and we have types of communication. We have the verbal and the non-verbal.
Exactly.
So you're checking about the one they are talking. You're observing also their actions, the non-verbal level of communication. If these are the things you can condone in the relationship before you now say, okay, fine, this is what I want. Wow. But basically, if they cannot communicate, do not marry a partner that doesn't give you the leverage, the room to communicate, that is not ready to talk to you. Do not go into that marriage. It's going to frustrate you. That marriage has the tendency to die because communication is the oxygen. I say it again. And when oxygen is out of the room, what happens to the person in the room?
Lost life.
You lost life. You start to suffocate. So let us not raise the statistics of relationships that are deprived of oxygen and are in the emergency room looking for instant oxygen to refill. refill them.
So you're getting this.
Most relationships are in the emergency ward. Oxygen deprivation because of what? Lack of communication.
Wow. So viewers, you're hearing it. If you're not subscribed to our station, if you're not following us through, you'll be missing a lot. Do well to subscribe to our station so that you can get reasonable and valuable content as we move on. So last words from you, Mercy. Let me ask you this question having to do with age barrier, right?
Okay.
A lot of people are like, age is just a number. You can get married to anybody. First, you love the person. What doesn't matter anything. Let's get married. And some other people have a diverse opinion to say if age is necessary. What's your take on that discussion?
Okay, my answer to that question is age is both a barrier and also not a barrier. I have a dual answer to that.
Okay.
Age is just a number. I've heard that. People say that a lot. Okay, let me answer it from the first instance. Age is nothing but a number. If two adults, in quote, two adults have intentionally, consciously, purposefully, knowingly decided to marry each other regardless of the big age gap, maybe because they speak same purpose language, they love themselves, they've been able to tick
like
the box of the communication is perfect, vulnerability perfect, love perfect, everything, purpose perfect, they are checking their boxes and they decide to get married. Hello, there is no wall, there is no law that holds them. Allow them to get married. This is their independent choice. But there is something we need to know. We are free to make choices, but we are not free from the consequences of our choices.
Exactly.
So since they have made those choices to fall in love and get married as two adults, they are good to go. No law holds them. But where I come to say age is a number is, you see in some African cultures and communities where a man
where you come to say age is not just a number.
Okay, yes, not just a number.
Yeah.
Thank you. You see, in some African cultures and communities, a man of 50 years deems it fit to him and necessary that the woman he wants to marry is a child of, I want to call the child of 12 years.
For instance.
15 years. For instance. What happens to that kind of relationship? This girl doesn't know nothing. How many marital books has she read? How many marital seminars has she gone to? What does she even know about life? She's yet to even understand herself. She's yet to understand her own purpose, not to talk of coming to merge her life with someone. And then you allow them marry with this huge age difference between them. And then you see something that plays out like a servant and master kind of relationship. Something happens in that kind of relationship. This particular girl, this particular child is exposed to a lot of things that will be very detrimental and traumatizing to her. Number one, she's exposed into having what I want to call VVF, vesico vaginal fistula. Why? When she gets married to this man, she's not even matured, meaning her reproductive organs are even yet to develop very well. So what happens in the process of trying to give birth, there comes a time where she might have a rupture in her bladder. Her urethra becomes damaged. So what happens? You see some of these persons, they start to weak. The wee is just coming out. They can't hold it.
Wow.
And then she's also exposed to this thing I want to call obstetric fistula, where her womb ruptures in the process of trying to struggle to push out the child. And then she's exposed to domestic violence. She's exposed to torture. She can't even understand this
intimidation
man.
Intimidation
because of the huge generational gap.
Yes.
So when it comes to this instant, I stand to say age is not just a number. And let's not tolerate that.
Wow. So viewers, you've heard it. You have the right to choose who you want to choose.
Yeah.
Despite the age difference. But here's what you need to know. The consequences of that decision is left for you, right?
Good.
Not just about making the decision.
Exactly.
The consequences, check out for the long-term effects that could bring to you.
Good.
And if that could cause a harm in your relationship, obviously, I don't think I would advise anybody to go down that
lane. I won't.
So viewers, you've heard it from her. You do well to subscribe to our station. Follow us. Every Friday, we're going to be bringing this relationship show to you. Follow us on this station. Do a subscription. Like what we're doing. If you think what we're doing is okay, give us a comment. Tell us topics you like. Make it interactive. And we're going to be sure here to serve you. Because Mercy would always be available to do justice to what we want, right? Thank you so much, Mercy, for joining us today. We appreciate what you do. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.